Welcome back to Grump's Farm, where today we'll be doing something very different, but I'll show you straight away. Although you'll have read on the title what I'm doing anyway, but there you go. This wonderful mini mill, piece of chinesium shite, the one I bought, I thought I was paying for a half decent piece of kit. Cost me 600 quid, so it wasn't cheap. I could have bought a second-hand proper fucking mill for the same bloody price. And had I known about that, I fucking would have done. And what I'm doing with this is I'm going to be taking this apart, taking the head off, ripping it to bits. Because inside the thing, as we shall see, instead of having metal gears to drive everything on here, it has plastic bloody gears, which I almost knackered one of the first times I used the damn thing. You take a cut that's slightly too bloody big for a machine, and it just locks everything up and can rip the fucking teeth off the cogs in there. Wonderful. Yep, so what I'm going to be doing is taking the head off this, stripping it down and putting new gears in, which is a job I've only been wanting to do for about a year. Yeah, I get a bit busy doing fuck all. Right, so to start, first thing I've got to do is take off this bolt here. It's a 17mm, and I'm going to have to hold this steady post, which has got notches on it for a spanner, and undo this outer one, then undo the steady post itself. Right, that's that unbolted from there. Steady arm, you just unbolt it and then let it spring back up again of its own accord. Out of the way. Next job is 4 screws to undo on this cover plate. Take that off, and inside there are 3 screws, one at the top and 2 at the bottom, holding this box onto the side of the head. Because I need to take that off, and then the next thing I'll be doing is taking off the motor, which is held on with some Allen bolts. Up here there are 4 of them, 1, 2, 3 and 4 up there. That's the next job, to get the motor off and the associated electrics, no electronics in this that I'm aware of. Right, well that's the box off. I've just put the screws back in it for the time being so they don't get lost. I've taken the drawbar and chuck out of it. Look at that. I don't know if you can see that. Starting to rust. These are supposed to, this is a Morse taper 3. Supposed to be a very tight fit. You can get any rust in there. Okay now. Cheap shit. Alright, put that over there out of the way. Now, I'm going to get to these Allen bolts here. 4 of them. I'll undo those. Take this motor off. And that's the electrics out of the way. Right, they were all M5 head and they were all fucking virtually loose. And did them by hand. Just put the bit in there with my trimmer fingers, turned it, and it fucking undid all 4 of them. Right, let's get this off. Oh, that looks alright. Just get that out of the way. Yep. And there's your drive gear. Plastic. But that will be, when I'm done, the only plastic bit left on here. That way, if anything gives, then it will be that gives, rather than anything else. Let me just move this down a teeny bit, because I need to get this stop here undone. Looks like another M5. Now the stop's off out of there, I can now wind this up to the top and then pull it off. There's nothing stopping it from coming off. I need two hands to do this. Just need to turn this off a sec. Alright, there we go, it's now off. That there's the gib that was sitting inside here. And it fell out obviously when I took it off. I had to oil up the ways on it slightly, it was a bit dry. It pulled up to near the top and then got stuck. Right, next job, well, next couple of jobs. This needs to come off, that's just a single screw, and then you can just lever off the plastic gear. I've got 4 big bolts in here, look like an M6 or similar, that hold the two parts of this together. But before I do that, I've got to turn it on its side and take this off. Hang on, I'll show you. But before I show you that, look, there we go. You can see in there, plastic gears. Who the fuck thought of that stupid idea? I don't know. Anywho, let's get on with this. Right, so this cover here has to come off for the fine adjustment. 2 screws holding that in. One of them looks already knackered, and I haven't even fucking touched it yet. Pull this cover off. Now I've got 2 Allen bolts in here holding this mechanism on, just so I can disconnect these 2 parts from each other, because that's all that connects them after the 4 bolts are taken out the back end. Right, here's the bolted on bit. Once I've taken that cover off, need to take these out. These are M4. Right, need to disconnect that and get it out of the way. Let me just get 2 hands so I can do that. Right, that is now temporarily out of the way. No, nothing's stopping me from undoing these big ones here. I don't know what size they are. They're bigger than a 5. Let's have a look. Hang on, let me just check. Yep, they're an M6. M6 Allen key. I'm going to get those undone and then split these 2 bits apart, because this is the only bit I need to work on. There we go. This thing just literally comes apart, just falls apart. The second you undo those 4 bolts, as you can see, it's painted after they've done the bolts up. Look, it's the paint still hanging on that was on here. They bolted them up plain and then painted it. More cheap shit. There you go, lots of plastic gears. And there's your high-low movement. It's a bit shit. You have to waggle it about and click it in. What a load of old bollocks. Well, these gears are all going anyway. Fuck me. Oh, bollocks. I've just remembered. There's a bloody circlip on here, and I didn't bring the circlip pliers. and it's pissing down with rain. Wonderful. Oh, and here's the for anyone that's interested, there's a spec plate for the whole bloody thing. Basically it's identical to the Sieg X2 and that sort of thing. There's quite a few of these sold all over the world. So I found out various different guises and have been for quite a few years that are all the basic same piece of shit. Right. I think I shall get on with, I need to disconnect this, I need to disconnect that. This has a retain, there we go. But I undo that, and then undo this. It's a left hand thread on these. That needs to come off. Say that, I'm going to have to unscrew and the lever off. And I will need to unclip that, because I'm going to have to take this completely apart, and to get them apart I'm either going to have to press them apart, or might be able to knock out the smaller shaft. Big one might knock out, or it might need pressing. Whichever way it goes, it all needs pressing back together again, which makes this a job that is a bit harder to do if you haven't got a press, because you really do need one. I should have mentioned that earlier. These two bits here, one here and one on the other one, are just covers for the bearings. Well, I've just taken the chip guard bracket off. I won't even bother putting that back on. I never use a chip guard. But that's my lookout. Now, this here is the high-low lever, and for the detente for the fucking thing, you've got a spring and a ball that lock into grooves in this, which I'll show you when I'm taking it apart. But you've got a set screw in here that needs to come out. That's an M3, I think. Yeah, M3. 3mm Allen key. Make sure you don't lose the damn thing. It's teeny. And inside this hole now, there will be a spring and a ball, which I shall have to hoik out. Don't know if you can see that. Probably not. There you go. Just turn the whole thing on its side, and that dropped out nicely. Don't lose those, you're going to need them again. Now there's another set screw in here in this lever mechanism. So I've got to undo so I can then pull the lever off. And then I can take out this arm here and the actual mechanism that operates the high-low that moves them side to side. This one's actually an M2.5, so you're going to need a full set of Allen keys, that's for sure. Get these bloody things apart. Right, that's now loosened off. So this should now just waggle out. Yeah, there we go. And there, in there holds. There we go, the pits there for the ball to sit in. For the high-low. And there's another one there for this lock to fit in. Well, this appears to be attached to the Allen key. Let's just pull that round and that should pull off. There we go. There's your selector mechanism. This bit just sits in there, it can fall out. Right, now I've just taken the screw out of this gear, This little drive gear that drives the whole fucking thing. Bloody hell. And now I need to get a pry bar under there and screwdriver, give it a gentle tug off. Obviously gentle because it's only bloody plastic or nylon. Unlike this, it's made of ABS apparently, it even says so. Now be very careful once you get that off because there is a teeny little woodruff key sitting there that drives that gear. Don't lose it. In fact, all the gears are obviously keyed onto shafts to drive them. I'm now going to have to quickly take that off very carefully and try not to lose it. Right, that is now out. Now I've now undone the set screw on here, and this I've just loosened with a spanner. And it's a left hand thread. You turn it to the right to undo it. There we go. And this collar that's behind it should now slide off. As you see, I was temporarily holding it with some grips while I undid the nut. Actually, that collar's keyed on there. Anyway, before I take that off, I'll get back to that. I need to undo these 3 Allen bolts here and on the other side and take off these covers covering the bearings. They're M4. That's the covers, very light plastic. They just fall out once you've got the screws out. Stick that back with the other one. They're both identical as far as I can tell. Although if I needed to tell, this one's got grubby bits on it because it was the front one. It's the one where all the action takes place at this end. Right, I need some circlip pliers because I need to go to this back end here, and on here there is a circlip holding this shaft in place. Wonderful. Right, before I go and get the circlip pliers and start pressing things out, look at this. Bloody overspray. They literally assembled the whole fucking thing, masked it off very badly. There's paint all in here as well. Every bloody where. Overspray all on here. And it, bloody hell. Cheap shite. And I got charged, as I say, 600 fucking quid for this. What a bloody rip-off. Oh well. Once bitten, twice shy, eh? Well, we're now down in the barn, and the circlip is now off, and that is the cheapest, shittiest fucking circlip I've seen in years. Didn't spring out, it just bent. Bloody hell. Cheap shit. Just put that somewhere safe so I can forget about it later. Now I need to push this down and drive it out. Hopefully shouldn't be too bad, you never know. This one has to be pressed out. Right, that's the first one driven out. I just used a centre punch in the centre of the spindle on it. This is the end that had the excuse me, circlip on it. I just gently tapped it out, and it's now fallen out the bottom, and it will be held in place temporarily by that plastic gear inside. Yep, there we go. It's being held in by the plastic gear. All I need to do is just gently pull this shaft out. should come out. There we go, and there's your plastic gear. And what a load of shit that is. Now before I can press this out, I need to get this black collar off. It has only pushed on apparently, so I need to lever that off. And I forgot to do it while I was down the other end. Well, that just loosened with a screwdriver. That's off. See, that is keyed on there. I'm going to have to remove that key as well. Might leave your key in there. Right, the big one is pressed out. Don't try and press it from this end, it won't fit through the bearing. As you can see, pressed from this end. It's pressed through, the whole thing is loose, but the actual big gear there is holding it on the shaft, so I'm going to have to move that across a little bit. Give it a little bit of prying to move it back that way so it comes off the shaft, because it's actually just stuck on a key. Well, there it is off, and it's not what I was expecting. I was expecting two separate gears and a spacer in between them, but no, this is all one piece. The new ones, however, are two separate gears and a spacer. Makes no bloody difference as long as they're the same size. And there's another spacer here that goes on behind this gear. And there should be another spacer already still on the shaft. Yep, there it is there. Now I'm going to have to get the press again and press this bearing out. Otherwise you'll never get everything back together again. Well, that's the bottom bearing out now. Very light press fit and that. Very little effort to get out. Right, start reassembling. Right, I just had to press that on gently. It's a slightly tight fit. Just used a little bit of pipe against it and gave it a very just gentle tap, and it just slid into place. Now I've got to put the collar on it and then fit it in inside there and put the big gear over it. Oop, can't see that. Right, there we go. Put the big gear over it and gently press that on. It's only a slightly tight fit over the key, that's all. Houston, we have a problem. Fuck's sake. It would appear that with this on here, I haven't got any key sticking out to drive the low gear. What a stupid design. Press it on a bit further, see if I can get a little bit more of it showing to get enough to grip that. If not, I might have to take these off and fucking weld the bastard together or something stupid. Yeah, that'd be fun. No, completely fuck it up. Panic over. Just need pressing down a bit more. There's enough there for the grip on it. Thank fuck for that. There we go. Press the top one on very gently. Not forgetting to put the plastic spacer behind it. All I've got to do is press on the top bearing here. I had to take off earlier. That one there. So I've got to press that back on. And then we're done with this one. I've got to put the little one back in afterwards. There we go, both bearings are back in. Everything's as it should be. And it all spins nice and easily. Beautiful. Right, well, I had to stop play because I ran out of light. And I forgot to film putting this second one back in, the little one. It is now back in. Then your case is just pressing it straight back in again. You can actually press through the bearing that's already still in the casing. Back in, circlip's now back on. Bloody thing, I had to bend it back out, it should be again. The thing is, it doesn't really do a hell of a lot, and these are very, very tight in the bearings anyway. Not going to go anywhere. That's only like belt and braces anyway, that circlip. The only problem I do have is this metal gear is a very tight fit on this shaft. And I've just spent the last half an hour or so greasing it all up and slowly moving it backwards and forwards to get it to move freely. I've nearly got it done. It's free for about 3/4 of its length, and then it's a bit tight. So I'm going to have to carry on buggering about with that until I free it up completely. Otherwise I might have to take it all back out again and ease off the bloody ways inside this damn thing, the keyway. I'm sure that's what it's sticking on as a key. Right, next I've dressed up the wood rough key that came out of here, because it was a bit of a mess, not very good quality, and it was very, very tight to get out, and then getting it out it burred up a bit, so I dressed that off with a file very gently, tapped it back in, and now put this cover back on. Whatever this is, this sleeve. So we're nearly there. I've still got a little bit more fiddling about to do with this high-low gear because it's still a little bit sticky at one end. A bit more buggering about with that, and I can take this back down the other end and put everything back on it again and put it together. Well, there we go. That's the gear selector back in place. Just the reverse of taking it apart. And make sure that's loose. Slip the like horseshoe part of it down over here. Flick it back so this is upright. And then just push your arm in. And when it's in there nicely, make sure it's lined up. There's a little hole in the shaft of this handle that you line up the set screw with, and then just tighten it down. Now all I've got to do is, for this hole here, I've got to put the ball bearing back in it and the spring and the set screw on top of that, so that it will lock in place when the gears are selected. Right, that's all in there fine. All adjusted up and it works beautifully. It's just a little bit stiff going into low gear. That doesn't really matter. Eased off considerably. Right, now put these back on, one each side, and then I can put it back together again. Now those are on. Next we put the little wood rough key back into the slot on here, and just gently push the gear back on and screw the screw back in to hold it in place. There we go, back on. All that needed was a very gentle tap with a rubber mallet to seat it on there, because it's a fairly tight fit. And make sure that your wood rough key's in there properly and it's seated fine, or you won't get this on, you'll crack it or something. Right, now to put back and front together those 4 long bolts again. There we go, the 4 screws, 1, 2, 3 down the bottom there, tighten down. Just hold the 2 parts together and tighten them up, not difficult, don't over tighten anything. And this is going to be next. Oops, shouldn't have touched that. So I don't lose the screws. Yeah, I'll be attaching this back onto these 2 holes here, putting the cover back on it, and tightening up the little screws that go into these little holes here. Right, now to put the head back on the top of this thing, which is going to be bloody awkward. Remembering that this gib, which is basically just a spacer in the way, it's just an adjuster. Sitting behind here, it's got little dimples in it that coincide with these adjusters. So there is only one place you can put it. And that has to go on up the top there, wangle it on. This could take a bit of doing. There we go, the head's back on. All I've got to do is wind it down a bit, chuck this back over the top of there, put the 4 screws in and tighten them up properly. Tighten that back down and that's it. Oh, and put the left hand threaded nut back on there. So I think I'm going to call that done for now. Bugger it. Just get down from this ladder. Yeah, because even I'm not tall enough for that. Right. There you go. Fun little job, I suppose. Eesh. That's what you'd expect from a load of chinesium shite, that's for sure. Now my voice is disappearing. Wonderful. Anyway, that's it for now. Next thing you see, I don't know what it'll be. I might even be using this bloody thing, hopefully. Anyway, take care, people, and I'll see you again soon. Oh, one final bit. My voice is still fucking up again. Do this, and then this. There we go, working perfectly. Noisy little shitty thing. But there you go, all done. Bye.